Hi, my relatives. Welcome back to another episode of Our Storytellers that is presented to you by our partners at the Indigenous Screen Office. On today's episode, we're joined by someone who's really near and dear to my heart and someone who's always looked out for me and my family, and her name is Shannon Henderson. She is a matriarch from the Squamish Nation, and she's also the Chief Operating Officer of the Orange Shirt Society, and she helped us set up our interview with Phyllis Webstad. And she's always looked out for me and my friends, and you'll hear a little bit about this on the podcast, but during the pandemic, she really did take care of my friends and I. We're we're neighbors. We live really close to each other, so I'd do anything for them. They're amazing people, and she has a very unique story. It's one about reconnecting to your culture and reconnecting to your home, and she's done a lot for the people through her work, and she's always let her heart guide her work, and she's really imposed that lesson on me. And yeah, I think I can't tell you about Shannon better than she can tell her own story. So without further ado, please welcome to the Our Storytellers podcast, Shannon Henderson.
Hello, my relatives. How are you? Here at Our Storytellers, we care about your spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical well-being, which is why we want to inform you that this podcast discusses topics that may cause trauma to listeners and viewers. These subjects include mentions of Indian residential schools, assimilation, ongoing harm, colonial impacts, and much more. Our Storytellers recognizes the need to minimize risks associated with traumatic subject matter. The Hope for Wellness Helpline offers immediate help to all Indigenous people across Canada. It is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to offer immediate support and crisis intervention. Services are available in English and French, and in Nehiyaw, Anishinaabe and Inuktitut upon request. If you or someone you know are experiencing any harm, no matter how big or small it's perceived to be, you can call the toll-free helpline at 1-855-242-3310 or connect to the online chat at www.hopeforwellness.ca. Kinanaskaman, I'm grateful for you. Your ancestors are always with you. All my relations, Riel.
To tell you a quick story, so Wabi Canoe was walking through our neighborhood here, and I was like, who's that stoic man walking through our hood?
Wob Canoe?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
When?
Just during the election time for Bao and Ma, when she was for the, oh my gosh, it was in the summer. Anyways, it was in the evening, and I was standing outside talking to Nikia, and I was like, oh, who's that dude that's walking through here? I've never seen him before. And I saw all these vehicles standing around, and I was like, oh. And then I was like, oh, yeah, it's Wabi Canoe. And my face goes red.
Wobber.
And anyway, so I go up to him, I tell him, and what I do for work, and he goes, oh yeah, that's so cool. I know Phyllis, right? And I was like, okay, good. And I said, can I get a picture with you? And he goes, yeah, I really like your sweatshirt. And I'm wearing this sweatshirt. And I was like, oh, is it okay to take a picture with you with this? And he goes, yeah. So,
He's awesome.
he is amazing. We're doing a big event, and in 2026, we're pulling all the graduates all through BC. We're going to connect with every region to bring in a graduating class. It will be the first graduating class that would have had Orange Shirt Day and Indian residential school teaching in their curriculum. So we're pulling them all into BC Place.
For real? That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's going to be a big deal. We're putting Canada on notice, and path towards reconciliation, because they're going to be our next leaders, right?
Yeah.
They could be our next prime ministers, and we want that conversation to continue.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
But that's like a whole
Oh,
10
yeah.
years worth of work. And
in 1 year.
how big's your team?
We're a team of 7. We run the Orange Jersey Project, and the Orange Jersey Project is Sports Through Reconciliation. So it's football, lacrosse, hockey right now, and we're expanding to baseball, soccer, and basketball.
Wow.
Yeah, and all the jerseys are free. The teams just have to sign up for it, and we send it off. We're sponsored by Canadian Tire, who provides those jerseys.
Really?
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. So
You've been there for
And
like...
who do you work for?
Orange Shirt Society.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And who runs that?
Phyllis Webstad, the founder of the Orange Shirt. Yeah.
She came and talked for, make sure everything is flying here good. She came and talked at Fraser Health, and I was like, hey, I just started the podcast maybe
Not long.
2 weeks before she came and talked, because it was in
Yeah.
September that she came and talked.
Oh, wow.
And then I was like, that's her. I was like, I have to get her on. This is good.
Well, she's coming.
I know she's coming on. I'm so excited.
July the 10th.
I know.
We've talked about it. She's excited about it. Yeah, to
That's
come and
good.
talk. Yeah.
That
That's really good.
It's
Yeah.
so crazy to hear for me, honestly. I'm such like, because like, what was the founding story? Let me see what I remember from her talk. Like, how did all this get started exactly? Orange Shirt Day.
Yeah. So she was out of work for a while, and then the person that was supposed to be running the big event the TRC that came to Williams Lake, couldn't do it, and for some reason she was put in that position.
Right.
And so from there, she stood beside the Honorable late Murray Sinclair when she found the strength to tell her truths about her orange shirt. And then when time had passed, she was in Vancouver when we had it here at the PNE, the Pacific Coliseum. Mm-hmm. And there was this lady that was walking, I should go back. Shannon, her name, had messaged her and said, do you mind if I, kind of like get more information to talk about your orange shirt? Phyllis was like, yeah, okay, no worries, right? And didn't really think about it until after when she's down, and then she was like reading this little Facebook little card, and she's like, that sounds like me. And she goes, it is me, right?
Whoa.
So everything started happening, and the movement went so fast and viral. But I think it gave us an opportunity to heal out loud. That orange represents that we can be proud of who we are and not be afraid to speak up and, and say you're Indigenous, right? Because we've been suppressed for so long to keep our heads down, don't say anything, and it's about education now.
Unreal.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I'm nervous. If I'm being honest.
Don't be nervous with her. Like you tell me, don't be nervous. This is just a conversation. I think for me, it was just, yeah.
Oh, I'm going to be prepared now and dialed, and I'll have a great sleep the night before.
Oh, I think you just need to say, just let her talk.
Yeah.
She's got it.
She's definitely got it.
Yeah.
She's definitely got it.
Yeah.
We're already rolling now. This is it.
I'm sure you are.
We're doing it. I have some protocol here for you. Thank you so much, Shannon, for coming and talking to us. I have a blanket and some tobacco and some honorarium here for you that's provided by the Indigenous Screen Office, who are partners in bringing these podcasts to life. And we're grateful to them, but I'm even more grateful for you to come here and sit down and share some stories and talk about life and family history and anything that we want to talk about. So I'm going to pass this over to you, and then just please introduce yourself in your own way.
Yeah, great. Oh, Waichika, thank you. Thank you. And I love that the blanket's orange.
I picked that on purpose.
Yeah, you did. Well, it's going to make me grounded today and to be able to really share the story. So, the truths, right? So, yeah. Hatsquile, Salewalot. Shannon Henderson is my English name. Salewalot is my ancestral name. I just received that in May of last year. And what it means is Sale, it comes from our Hawaiian side. And it was a Hawaiian man that married a Squamish woman. And the Walot means I'm the gatherer of my family, of my community, and cedar weaving. I'm always constantly bringing things together. So that was given to me, and I come from the Nahanni family. It's been a bit of a roller coaster, my journey. I'll share more with you about it. I'm a mother. I'm a grandmother. I have raised my sister's children. I have one of my own. He's going to be 40 this year. Lord. Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah. Or just, yeah. And then my grandbabies are my medicine that keeps me grounded. Love each and one of them. Got another one on the way. She's going to be a girl. Finally, a girl in our family. But yeah, I've got 3 grandsons. They're all under the age of 8. So they're 8, 6, and 5. And then this little one that's on her way pretty soon.
Pretty soon. July, right?
Nope, the end of June.
No way.
Wow.
Yeah, it's supposed to be July, but she's
exciting,
coming
eh?
early. Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I'm the oldest of, 7 of us. Yeah, I'm the firstborn. I'm a 60 scoop survivor. I was taken at the age of 3. My brother was taken at the age of 1, and we were sent to different foster homes, non-Indigenous foster homes. I was in 3 different foster homes in Surrey, and then off to Philadelphia. And my brother was in Montreal, and then off to Philadelphia. We were there.
So you grew up mostly in Philadelphia?
In Philadelphia.
Were you together at that point?
Yeah, we were. But I think what I really lost is my family connection. Being here in community, I find it so warm being here now, but not having what I see my cousins have gone through, growing up on the reserve, having the family connection, knowing the protocols, and I'm still on a journey of learning, and to receive my ancestral name was something that made me feel connected to culture. And, and being a co-chair of the Squamish Nation Youth Powwow, where my Auntie Gloria started that 35 years ago or plus more. And my mom being a part of it at that time. But, now I get to be a part of it, and it makes me feel very connected to our community and learn. I'm always learning and growing within, our community. One of my roles was I worked for the Van City Credit Union, and I was the reconciliation program manager. And really that helped me. That actually scared me in the beginning, because you were asking me to open up things that I didn't even know at that time. So I had to consult with my elders to say, and they asked me, you need to be our voice because we don't have a voice right now. Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Wow. So what has your journey been like, reconnecting, rediscovering your family? Like, what's the story behind that?
Yeah, it started 10 years ago when I moved into the community. Well, no, I think about 13 years ago is when we started building our house. And being here, every day I would come home with a big smile on my face. pulling into my driveway because I was with family, right? I mean, we live in a community where we're related to everybody, like our neighbors, our aunties, our cousins, right? And grandmas and grandfathers and aunties and uncles, right? So when I talk about you live in a community, we live in a community. But when I left the reserve, I always had this sadness and this emptiness feeling and scaredness as I drove to work. And I always thought back to our ancestors who had to get permission to leave the reserve, or they'd be thrown in jail or fined. And that always crossed my mind, it's still a law, within the Indian Act, but it's not enforced, right? So I always had this ugly feeling about it.
Mm-hmm. So do you mind if we jump into your life story?
Yeah, go.
Yeah, let's do it. So when you were growing up in Philadelphia, like what was the home environment like? Like it was you, your brother, two parents?
No.
How old were you?
I was probably about 6.
6?
Yeah, at that point, 6 or 7. We were over there, and it was, we called her Grandma, and Grandma Alice, and we went over there. My mom married a U.S. Marine, and which brought us over there. But prior to that, I was in 3 different foster care, 3 different foster homes in Surrey, in non-Indigenous homes. They're not nice.
So when you moved to Philadelphia, was another foster?
No, it was the grandmother, the U.S. Marine. That's where we stayed, right?
Okay.
So,
Hey, my relatives, super quick pause in this episode of Our Storytellers just to let you know that this podcast is brought to you by our partners at the Indigenous Screen Office. The Indigenous Screen Office supports Indigenous narrative sovereignty through storytelling on screen. They provide grants to small podcasts like us to support our growth and to support the guests that we can have come on. Big thanks to them. Please check them out on Instagram. Please check out their website. You never know, there might be an opportunity for you on there, especially if you're creating content. Get out there and check them out. Thank you so much to our partners at the Indigenous Screen Office. Back to the podcast.
Who is your mom?
Edith Mahaney.
Edith Mahaney. Yeah.
Yeah. We had a rough go.
Yeah.
I didn't talk to her for 5 years, right?
Yeah.
And we connected, and that was just through my work, right?
Yeah.
And understanding what happened at the residential schools, and it just came more clearer to me of why. Why me? Why did this happen?
Yeah.
There was no, the love. She never received the love and didn't know how to be a parent. I became the parent at 8 years old, or 11 years old. Learned how to cook, clean, and raise my siblings, right? So I felt like I was their mother, right?
Yeah.
And so I always had that in me. So when I was in high school, loved it. But I always fell behind because I was always at home looking after my siblings, right?
Yeah.
And so
Running a household at a very young age.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really excel at school. I quit. And it wasn't until in my early 20s when I, had more sense, I think, at that time and more patience. I went back to school and I got my degree. I've got my HR and, I'm so proud of that. But, I believe there's life lessons that are learned, that have taught me along the way to be who I am today, right? Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, I've had to endure some pain along the way, but I feel more grounded today than I ever have.
I'm happy about that because...
Well said.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
If you had to give a...
It's hard to share your talk about yourself, and I find a lot of our women, they're not comfortable because they haven't been in a place where they kind of share life experience and talk about themselves, and where something revolves around being about them, because we're used to caring for everybody else, raising kids at a young age that are your siblings. It's relatively a selfless type of job, so you never, your own needs aren't taken care of. So, and it's difficult to be a child parent when you weren't put in the position.
When you're a child, right?
Well, yeah, it's a child parent.
Well, it didn't just go from my siblings, it went to my sister's children, to my nieces and nephews, right? I had one lady tell me, she goes, you know, that's the very Squamish way.
Wow.
I said, what do you mean that's the Squamish way? If you look around you, a lot of the grandmothers and the aunties look after their nieces or nephews or their grandkids.
And the older siblings pick up the domestic supports, essentially, right? Because, I mean, we can call it whatever way we like, but I think that's what it is. In my household, it was the same. For my mom, it was the same. When she got a job full-time, she was relieved of household domestic chores, but her paycheck went to home.
To home.
It's because she was now earning money. They still had 8 siblings to feed and 2 parents who were, you know, working on domestic labor roles, you know, not basic subsistence living in a lot of ways, right? Our families are really poor. They didn't have a lot.
No.
Yeah.
I think I broke the circle. That's what I think I did for our future generations in my family, is, you know, taking that role as a mother and a grandmother and showing them traditions, showing them that, you know, family can be loved and be together, and we look after one another.
What does family mean to you?
Family means to me is loving each other, honoring each other, respecting each other, and sharing knowledge and traditions and culture. And when I speak of my family, I speak of like love, because we're together, and I get to be with them, right? I'm not sent away to a school where I didn't have, you know, that connection. And we're together. I think that's what it really means to me, and that's what family means to me.
What, I'm trying to figure out how to ask this question, but I never exactly know how to nail it. But like, what is like your role as a matriarch in your family today?
So for me, it's about passing down the knowledge that I have received and giving them the opportunity to learn and grow and have a safe place to live and be in community, right? I think that's, you know, like my grandfather, Edward Nahaney, was a Native Brotherhood. And the one way to honor his legacy was to continue the work that he's been doing, is through me. And that is my role through the Orange Shirt Society, is to continue the conversation towards reconciliation with the Orange Shirts, and giving folks an opportunity to feel proud of who they are. And for me, that's where my legacy, I want to continue for my children and grandchildren and future generations. That's how I feel.
Well, you've got some smart fellers back there, for sure. 100%. You got some smart boys back there.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
And go-getters.
And go-getters,
Yeah.
100% go-getters.
Yeah.
So when you come back to the community, when your house is built, is that when you officially come back? Mm-hmm. And what was that transition like for you? Where were you before, and then what did you come back to?
I lived in all through Burnaby, North Van. We were renters. It was a gamble when you rent, because it was hard to secure your homestead. And, it's like you don't know if the landlords are going to sell, or, you're always constantly on your guard. Being back in the community here was a little bit nerve-wracking. I'm not going to lie, because I didn't know a lot of folks, right? And I feel very much Indigenous, but I don't look. I don't look like my siblings, or my cousins, and then people will be like, well, who's that white lady? And I'm just like, I had to always prove who I was. I'm from the Nahaney family. Oh, well, who's your mom? Or who's your dad? And I had to say who my grandparents were. And, I just felt I had to justify who I was at all times. And I still feel like that sometimes when I meet people. Hi, I'm from the Squamish Nation. I'm a proud member. My name is, and this is my oh, I know them, right? But it feels like I always had to justify who I was. Mm-hmm. And that's hard.
I can relate to that. For sure.
That's a real introduction.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I know growing up, it was important to identify who your grandparents were and who your parents were. Mm-hmm. in community, so they knew you. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because when I travel across to different provinces, it's when you go into ceremony, a lot of these people they talk, they're formal introductions. So they usually start with their spirit name, and then they introduce kind of their lineage a little bit too. And and it was really confusing at first to understand what those things were. But then you see the nods in the people, and they figure it out. They're like, oh, okay, now I know who you are.
Yeah. And I think it's very important to do that.
Yeah,
I think it's...
But I didn't think it was justifying. It was kind of an interesting way. Like, I know at first it explaining it to the kids to tell them how they introduce themselves. I says, but you know who your grandmother is? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I said, well, people know your grandmother more than they know you. So they're like, oh.
Yeah, it's true. Like when I mentioned my grandfather, people are like, oh my goodness, I know him. And I like, thank you for the work he's done, right? And cool. But I also was a little bit nervous in the beginning too, to talk about who I am and where I come from, because I didn't know it, right? And then I start to feel embarrassed, right? Because I wasn't able to recite my lineage, right? I was still learning. I was still on a journey of trying to figure out who I am and where I came from, right?
Oh, it takes such a long time, eh?
What was that journey like? Like, how did you get started?
How did I get started? Well, I guess, like I said, through my job through Van City. Yeah. And when they asked me to help them build out reconciliation as a core value. And that's when I was like really nervous. I was like, oh, I don't know if I can, because then I have to open up about who I am. And but that's when I went to my Uncle Willie. Is my godfather, and Auntie Sandy is my godmom, and I love them dearly. Uncle Willie, I asked him, I said, could you please help me find me? And he said, niece, he goes, I will help you.
Yeah.
And he showed me her songs, her drumming and singing and dancing. I got to work with him up at the mountain a few times, and he helped me get my regalia. That's one of the proudest moments I have. So that's how my journey began, is through him. He stood beside me.
He lifted you up.
He did.
Yeah. It's so beautiful, right? Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. So, what, like, he helped you get your regalia? What are the details about that? Like, did you have to make it? Did you find it?
I was a part of the process, but not fully a part of the process. I'm not a sewer.
Yeah.
So Ingrid Movehearth helped me make my regalia, but I went to pick out the materials. I got the paddles, the ribbons. I helped design it with her. She sewed it for me, and she did all the design on it, and it's mine. It just, when I put it on, I feel like no other. I feel so connected, with culture, and people, they look at you differently when you have it on. They're admiring you, and
That's amazing. So, so have you received any family stories that have come across, like, heard anything? Like, what's a family story that stands out to you?
Yeah. Well, I can go back to saying about my grandfather. Is I've heard a lot about him, is that he took the government to court, and he was only trying for BC, but won Canada-wide. He's the reason why we have benefits, Canada pension, family allowance, all of that is because he took the government to court for that.
And for the listener that doesn't know, what is the Brotherhood?
The Native Brotherhood was it was like a union for Indigenous rights, because we didn't have rights at all. Like, it was like the fisheries, we didn't have, sorry, I totally messed up on that one.
No, you got it.
But yeah, no, it was for Indigenous rights, you know. I always remember hearing stories about my grandfather. He was a really good baseball player. He was a pitcher. And the police used to come and pick him up after his shift. He was a longshoreman. And they would go down and pick him up and escort him all the way up to Mahan Park and clean up the game. So, yeah, so he was well known as being a pitcher. And I love baseball. So.
It's in the blood, you can say.
Yeah, it is in the blood, yeah. I played, and the grandkids play, and I don't miss a thing.
Nice.
I played as a kid.
Yeah.
It's funny, and I played as a young adult, too, because that was when I was like his age.
Yeah.
We would play baseball, because a bunch of us would just go hang out at one of the diamonds and play.
I paid money to see you throw a ball today. I would.
Oh, I could still throw a ball.
I don't know about that. Yeah. Well, I'll take you out to the backyard after.
Well, it's funny, though, too, is I played pitcher growing up and not knowing this story about my grandfather.
Yeah, that's
genetics plays in a lot of things that we don't know about, do they?
Right? I got goosebumps.
Yeah, because it is.
Yeah.
That's how you know you're connected.
Yeah, exactly.
Subtle ways,
yeah.
When do you feel him? Or like
all the time.
Really?
When I'm advocating for, through my work as through Orange Shirt, and I'm speaking to partners, I always, before I go into some tough meetings, I just sit there and I just, have a deep breath and, think, and I ask what would my grandfather say in this situation? How would you navigate that? And I just ask him to help guide my words in a good way and an honorable way, and guide me through this conversation.
What would you ask him about if you could have an interview with him right here?
Oh, I wish I could remember everything that he told me. I remember sitting at his home And as a young child, I didn't have the patience at that time, but he would tell me stories. And I wish I could recall all of those stories. I wish he could tell me again.
What do you remember about him as a person? Like,
I remember quite a bit. I remember he used to come to Squamish when we lived in Squamish. He used to drive this old Jeep, and he would drive really slow. Like really slow. Like, and he didn't care.
Probably didn't go fast.
No.
It was an old Jeep.
It was a really old Jeep, and he didn't care if he was holding up traffic along the highway.
That's funny.
Yeah, he would just keep going. Yeah. I wish I knew more.
yeah.
I wish I had the opportunity to spend the time with him, and with all my aunties and uncles. I never really got to spend that time until I was a young adult, where I really got to really spend time with them.
What would you ask them today? What would you be curious about?
Ask any of them,
Yeah.
or I don't know. To be honest, I don't know what I would ask them. I think it would be, I'd probably want to know more about how they grew up and what it was like, to share the history with me.
Yeah.
Right?
So after you get your HR degree, where do you start working after that? Is it?
Where was I? Kind of did a lot of different jobs.
Yeah.
I worked for the Squamish Nation, and I was the executive, I was the administrative secretary at the time. And at that point, I worked for Superstore. I worked at the gas bar. I had a few jobs. But I think where I really put it to use was at Van City.
Yeah.
And that's where I got, I constantly did upgrading up from there. But that's where I did majority of it.
What was that like? Like, did you love it there?
I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I think I grew with Van City.
Yeah.
I learned how to have a savings account that nobody told me about. How to recycle, how to a credit score.
Yeah.
I think it just my day to day. I learned so much from there, and diversity, is looking at all sorts of ways to do things too.
What advice would you give like a young Indigenous professional that's entering the workforce today?
Be proud of who you are and where you come from, and don't let anything scare you away.
Just lay it out. Just mic drop that one, I guess.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, I could recall the time that I started there, or my first job, and how scared I was, and the anxiety, and it was like just going and just being proud of who I am, be in the moment, be in the presence.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine you being scared. Really?
Before I did I did a talk. I went through a masteries program for Raven Speak with Tiara Fraser, and it was a cohort with Lillian Howard, and there was a bunch of ladies with us. There was like 10 or 12 of us, and we had to dig deep into our emotions of what our journey would look like. And mine was finding the missing pieces of me. I felt like of a puzzle. Each time I started connecting and learning, it was a puzzle piece. And I talked about my journey, how I didn't know who I was, and where I came from. And once I had those pieces, I started to really feel grounded, and it opened me up, and I would Before, like, even being here, I would be so nervous and so scared that I would literally get sick. And now I can come and start doing these things and still have a bit of nervousness, but not as like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, right?
Not crippling.
Yeah, where I'm stuck, I'm frozen.
Yeah.
But her course really, her program really helped me grow internally. Because without that, I wouldn't be here sitting today having this conversation.
Would you say growth is a value of yours?
Absolutely. Like, I'm constantly growing, and I'm starting. I always feel that my feet are grounded and I stand taller, and I just accept what's coming in towards me. I'd love to have more of our matriarchs and sit down and be in a circle with them to learn from each and one of them. I think that's important.
Boy, do we have something for you.
I really do. I think,
What do you do next Tuesday?
What are you doing next Tuesday at 1?
well, let's see. Let's find out. Yeah. But yeah, no, I think it's so important. I think our nation needs to offer that more, to have these talks, and learn. I was scared to ask elders, about their history because they think you should know this. And when you ask them a question, they kind of, you feel like that you should have known that. And I don't know that. And even with our language classes, I'm learning from my grandchildren and my daughter how to speak the language. And I only know a little bit, and sometimes I can't get the dialect correct, and because I cannot go full stop, right? And it's a hard language. It's not an easy language to learn, but I am learning with my grandbabies how to say our count to 1 to 10, or our alphabets, our dogs, our animals. I can a dog means skamite, right? And that's easy, but cats, posh,
Yeah.
right? And squirrels, smut-olosin, so it's like I'm learning, and it's you're never too young, never too old to learn, right? So
They're also really good. I found out. They're really good.
yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Mm-hmm. So, like, what does ceremony mean to you today?
Ceremony means to me today is, well, one is honoring the protocols. 2 is that we're still doing it. We're not told not to do it. Ceremony is very sacred, and I very uphold it and continue to have traditions on our ceremonies. Ceremony is, there's quite a few, like there's Longhouse, there's the sweat lodge. I haven't been in the sweat lodge, but that's one thing that I want to do. But I'm not 100% sure you're there yet. But yeah, as ceremony, I've been to different communities and seen how they've done their ceremonies. Yeah. And having a sage, it keeps me grounded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and doing the brushing off.
One thing that I think is interesting about, like, the elder not being patient when you come to ask and stuff like that is, like, sometimes I've had that for sure, but I don't know. It's interesting because I think the right one just comes to you eventually. You know what I mean?
And that was my uncle.
Exactly.
My Uncle Willie.
Yeah.
He's the one that.
We have, in defining elders and stuff, there's a lot of traditional people that don't like the term elder. Because it hails from like Mormon church and from church doctrines. So elder wasn't a term that was used. The Cree, they say katayak.
Oh.
It means those really old ones that you seek knowledge from. Those really, really old ones. And the people lived a long time. Like our people had longevity in all across, right, till we had interruption. And then significant things about all of our life changed. Nutritional starvation is one of them. Active, illnesses and other things. But the term, like those older people that share their knowledge and with the children, the grandparents, in our language, I think it's ta'am, pa'a, in Cree, yokokums and yomosums, chapans. Chapan is the same name as that new baby that comes too. So they actually consider them both that they're that sacred. They're, one is the new being, that your chapan, and then your oldest are the chapans that you, because they revert to childhood. They're so old and they're frail and they don't go too far.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, it's, the terms become very, like trying to untangle them and that, so talking about elders and stuff. So I always think about that when I think about when some are like abrupt or unkind. It's like people have called me an elder before, and I'm like, I'm not even close to that. I carry knowledge. I'm always expanding that knowledge and learning, and I'm always sharing what I have and what I do know, right? So I'll share what little I do know of, like something that I'm asked about, but not. Well, I still swear. I still get annoyed and ticked off and all kinds of things. And I think that it's hard to think about being that level of kind of a sacred knowledge keeper when I'm still not ready to be there.
I long for that, though. As a matriarch in my family, I'm guiding my mother.
Yeah.
And, helping her along the journey as well to the acceptance of reconciliation. And, I feel it's my duty to pass on knowledge and culture.
Absolutely.
And, but if I don't have it, then it's hard to pass it down. And I live in community where it's all around me. And I've been asked questions and I was like, well, I need to find out more about that piece, right? Yeah. Or I'll share what I do know, right? I'm very mindful in the words I choose, but I really would love to have more knowledge and more understanding, and because I want my children and my grandchildren and their generations to continue on of our Squamish history.
You know what I find very interesting, Mom? We've interviewed 8 matriarchs so far.
Yeah.
And some have been residential school survivors. Some have been 60 scoop. Bill C34, is that what it is?
C31.
C31.
Yeah.
And everybody has a similar story to you, I feel like, in a way, of a journey of reconnection.
Yeah.
I don't think we've found one person, and some people have been raised here their whole lives that we've talked to, and they've all felt like they've been on the same journey of reconnection. And that's just what happened to us, I feel like,
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's a very, very, very common story, and we're all in the same place trying to get it back. That's the whole goal of the cameras and all that stuff.
The learning to see, like it's seeing those commonalities for how we're all in exactly the same place, because we're seeking knowledge. Our knowledge levels are at different places. How we came back here is somewhat similar. The fact that we were away for such a long time, everyone was away in the sense, not in the physical presence, but away in the sense that they were, were squamish, were, this is who we are as a people. These are things, it's like almost everybody has a limited working knowledge of true history of here because it's in pieces. They have a little piece of their family. They have a little piece. They have a few stories here. And then you start bringing it together, but you start filling out this big picture of what happened to the people here, and seeking to keep the families together by creating a prayer asking Indian Affairs to look after us. Created this thing called amalgamation, but there was no other, like, amalgamations weren't a thing. And it's not a treaty. It was a prayer. And that prayer was in discussion with all the families saying, we really want to try to, remain our connected families. So, colonial settler dialogue looked at it and went, oh, okay, well, I guess you're a group of people who can be together. And it on their side, it was quite as simple as that. On our side, it was, we just want our families to be able to remain able to connect, because the women weren't listened to. They were not looked at. In fact, they were systematically used to enfranchise and enforce de-education and enforce marriage out. So it fractured all these families. And then, many of them came together and said, we need to do something about it, because it was largely driven out of BC, the creation of the BC Native Women's Society, and the women that were creating this movement to address enfranchisement and laws within the Indian Act, because they were so unfair. And, women could, they were talking about that back in Catsalano's day, because he talked about his sister marrying, and other women marrying non-Indigenous men. Those men would die and they would be kicked out with their children, but they weren't legally allowed to go home. And he talked about how he didn't like what was happening to the women. So that those discussions were being had all along. So when I say they weren't being heard, it wasn't that they weren't the decision makers, but I think that they were so not heard that, they pushed the men to be there. And what ended up coming down was this collective amalgamation that the Superintendent of Indian Affairs found a way to directly sit and decide how to reduce the lands over time. Because and there's a book that's been just recently written called Cheated. It talks about the Liberal Laurier government during kind of the 1890s and into the early 1900s. They systematically went at surrenders at a pace that was unheard of. They reduced the lands through surrenders and illegal land grabs by like over 21%. And the drive, and it wasn't just us, because they weren't doing treaties, but it was like all across the country, because through disease or other things, some of those people had died. So they'd say, well, you actually have more land than you should have. So we're going to, we'll just take that back. So get your guys here. We're going to sit and talk to them. Talk. Let's have a vote. Vote to surrender. Outcome comes back, no, we're not giving it up. every day they would do that in a succession while they were there till they had the right number of people and they got the referendum vote they wanted. Those referendums are the legislation that was in place then, which is the legislation they use throughout the rest of history now and have been in order to affect what they call legal changes to things going on. But it's anything but that. So we think about our women, and for the first 65 years of that amalgamation or that governing that was set in place by Indian Affairs, the superintendent sat as the chair, and the women weren't included in the legal voting piece of so much of the things that were done over the years. There might have been the occasional, here and there, people working for the nation, doing things and stuff like that. But overall, the overreaching part was largely driven by the colonial, male patriarchal governments that we've lived and exist in. And so then we start to come closer to today where we see more women involved, but their voices are still not prominent.
Yeah.
And they're not, and I mean, our women are largely quiet, not in the sense that they're voicey, right? But they don't tend to they feel not comfortable putting themselves out there because they don't want to say something and they don't want to offend somebody. They feel that, protocols and behaviors and certain things. So it's been interesting in the interviewing process to start hearing the stories of women. Exactly. I mean, we're not far in age.
No.
Almost everybody that we talk to is within about a 10-year range. And it's interesting, their stories are so diverse here. And but our family connections are so prominent.
It's very strong.
It's very strong because, your grandfather was my grandfather's brother.
Yeah.
And, the woman who married the two Hawaiian men is Mary Samia. And now her parents were Squamish and Katzie.
Yeah.
So our ties to Katzie weave in to Stalo, weave at several genetic intervals through our lineages.
We sure do.
Because my grandmother was from Stalo.
Yeah. See, that's where the connections are. Yeah.
So, it's very, they're so related.
I think at one point we had to wear our family clans so that we weren't marrying our cousins.
Well, that's why it was so important for, because the women minded the children, and then those relationships were always talked about. So when you talk about them being the decision makers, they speak to all the families so they know. So when they're standing there and they're at the potlatch holding their baby up, they know that the other family's not that closely related when they're making that arranged marriage together, because the people knew who was in the communities and how far and close that those relations were in order to affect a good alignment, right?
My mom shares that my grandfather was supposed to be a chief, but as a baby, they would have to mold your head and you would have to wear blocks on your head so that you could fit the hat and or the headdresser at the time. And his grandmother said no, because she knew the laws were changing in regards to that. So he didn't get it, but his son got it. I need to find out more about that, but that's the story that I've been told in regards to that.
Hi, my relatives. If you're enjoying this podcast, or if you have any feedback on this podcast, please let us know, because we're always trying to get better at the same time. But especially if you're enjoying this podcast, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. I think we have some really cool projects coming out that you might want to check out. Please follow us on Spotify. Share our reels as well too. That helps us out so much. And yeah, just check us out. Share the word. We're working really hard to keep this content coming for you. And the support helps us out so much. And we're so grateful. Thank you so much for listening. Back to the podcast. Interesting.
Yeah.
So we would have had a hereditary chief in the Nahini family.
Well,
we
do, because when Lauren died,
right.
Buffalo
That's
Matthias
why.
came
Yes.
and told us that we are of those first family, because our family comes down through Katsalano's line,
That's right.
and that's where our lineage ties to.
So it went to Lawrence. Was he the one that received it, or was it Ray?
It might have, well, yeah, because Ray was Edward's son.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Raymond is like Joanne Nahaney and
Yes.
Robert.
Yeah, and Kathy and them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, our family are hereditary chief
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
There's all the
Yeah.
relatives down from it. So we do hail under those things, which also means as winter dancers and longhouse people, you know, our lineages are strongly tied to those, because
Very.
Mary Siemia was a winter dancer.
Same with Uncle Vern,
Yeah.
who was, and Uncle Willie and Auntie Sandy. They were all
Katsalano,
dancers.
they were all dancers. The line is unbroken.
Yeah.
What's a winter dancer for the...
In the longhouse, we do winter dances. Those dancers are spirit dancers, so they are born when they connect with that spirit. They go into the longhouse and they come out. They're born as that spirit is born, so they become that that spirit when they dance, and they are. You know, there's a lot of protocols. I don't understand the longhouse ones, because it wasn't where I was taught. It wasn't my calling. I danced with the Sundance people, because
It's
my
the
path
Sioans?
was to fall. Yeah, the Sioans.
The Sioans is your inner Sioan that guides you every day, and so that's when you're in the longhouse. Your Sion comes out.
Wow. That's cool to learn.
And you got to be very careful when you're in the longhouse, and you know, some you have black face and red face. I'm not 100% sure of the differences, but while I was on my journey, I had a dream, and in my dream I was entered in the longhouse, and they guide me in backwards, and my face was red face. But I did counterclockwise around the fire, and the only person I could see in there was my uncle, and my Uncle Willie, and I received a name there, and it had something to do with the whales, and then I woke up. And I knew that I was on the right path for myself to receive my name.
Wow. What a freaking dream.
Yeah.
Crazy, eh?
Yeah.
That
It was
is
a vision.
crazy.
It was a vision that came
beautiful.
through, and that's where I knew I was in the right direction.
What was your naming ceremony like? Like, do you have to prepare for that?
Oh, it was a lot. It was like getting married. You have to go through a lot of gifting, like giveaways, because you got to thank your guests. There was a lot of going through the lineage of the family as well, and I did it with 10 other people. I was the 10th person, and it was it was a lot of work. We had to do protocol. A part of it, we had to do 4 baths in 4 days prior to the ceremony. That was pretty powerful. The very first time I did a bath is when I was 13. And I did it in the Squamish in Brackendale. I went in the water, and my Uncle Willie took me. And I remember going under, doing it 4 times, and coming out, and I was extremely energized. I felt like I had changed in that moment. And I think I had carried so much through my childhood of having to grow up so fast that I needed to let that go. And then I got really tired after that. And then I did another bath in 2022. I went out with my sister, and we did drumming and singing, and we offered tobacco, and we thanked them, our ancestors, because our ancestors are by the water, and whenever I'm feeling sad, that's where I go, is to the water. They guide me. And, or when I'm happy too, I'll go and just, say hello. And I went there, and I'm really happy that I shared that moment with my sister. My sister is not well. She had a hypertensive bleed, and she is in a wheelchair. She can't eat. She's starting to, but she's doing way better. But it's been 1 year since this accident happened.
It's a stroke, right? She had a stroke.
Yeah.
Massive stroke.
Yeah. And she still has the blood clot in the back of your brain. So if you put your hand in the back there and you have that dip, that's where the bleed is.
Wow.
And it is so deep that they couldn't do surgery on her.
So it had to settle. And
yeah. So she's still being tube fed, and but she does eat a little bit, like very pureed. But just to see her like that, she is she was so active. Like, she was full of life. Mm-hmm. She had her soup kitchen, her soup truck, and moving along, and always full of life, always. And to see her like this, it hurts to see her like that. Mm-hmm. So, but I'm glad I got to share that moment with her, because she taught me some things at that point too, right? And we're all on the journey together. Mm-hmm. So our family's coming back together, but through all this whole process, residential school really, really messed us all up. They tried to pit us against each other, and to see my mom, actively involved in things, starting to, I'm really proud of her, because I think it's a step where, the hell with you, Indian Affairs, for trying to hold her back from her culture. And she shared with me her experience, and that was really hard. That was really hard to hear from survivors.
I guess some of the hardest stories to listen to, and in some cases they can be quite brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you have no idea.
I helped a couple of our members in the Squamish to write their compensation. They asked me to help them, and I did not dare say no, because when you're asked, you do it. And I did. I helped them, and it was really hard to hear and see what they had gone through.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It did a number. Have you ever read this book before?
I have it.
You have it?
Yeah, and Dave's reading it right now before me. I swear Dave was in his almost. Past life is indigenous.
Oh, I believe that. I believe that for sure.
Yeah, no, it's a very good book.
I'm so happy. He knew exactly what he was doing when he was talking to that. What did they call him again? Archivist. But like he did the people so much favor. Like, that's where I learned. Mm-hmm. Like, because we would shokum, that's what we called it growing up. We would go to the water all the time growing up. Like, it was it was normaler for us, I guess. Like, we would go and dunk 4 times and come back up and let it all out. And I remember there were times where we were breaking ice to get into it, and it didn't really. It's a very, very powerful ceremony. I think it's a little bit overlooked sometimes. Like,
It is.
It's a very simple, it's a very clear, it's a very physical ceremony. It's one of my favorites, and I never really understood it. I still don't always understand it, but I understand it a lot better after reading that book.
Mm-hmm.
You know, take cold water bath, get power. That's what he says in there, like over and over and over again.
Very interesting you say that, because as you were talking, it was like having the shulkum baths it helps you to create strength.
Yeah.
And overcome your fears. Like you're thinking, oh my God, that water's going to be so cold, and I don't know if I can do it, and you have to kind of talk your way into it. But if you just go in and do it, like I even found myself like on the first day of the 4-day bath was I was like, oh, I can't do this again. I can't do this. It was too cold, right? But once I did it, I felt so refreshed and connected.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, that was such a big piece, is feeling connected, especially in ceremony.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for our people, that power comes from the water, because we are water people.
Yeah.
It almost, to me, it's almost like spiritually concentrated. That's how it feels.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
Like you'll get it'll provide you answers that you didn't even know you were looking for. And I think that, like, I always tell people, like, when I'm at work and stuff like that, and, you know, cold water baths and all that crap is a big thing now. And then I remember it was like, when I was growing up, like,
that's what we did.
Yeah, I was like, it's hilarious that you guys need to get a bathtub that makes ice to do this. Like,
yeah. When we just go out into the nature and do it. Right?
Yeah. You go and find a deep enough spot and get it done. You know, like I always
along
found
the Cap River.
Has to be fresh water.
Yeah, I know. And so I always found that super. Like, anything that's cool that happens in the corporate world already came from our people so long ago.
Yeah.
And then it's like, that's like, because I work in a really, really big organization today, right? So I always see like, wow, if you want to see if something's going to work, you can try it out first. Just do it first. And it's like a revelation. I'm like, I've seen 3 dudes have no idea what they're doing, put up a lodge that almost seemed impossible in about 3.5 hours. And it was from an old man sitting down, like, directing them from away, and all they had to do was listen, you know? And then the next year that lodge gets put back up, those 3 guys teach 6 guys, and then goes over and over. And how do you learn? By doing it. So, like, everything that comes from, like, the corporate world, that's new in the corporate world, comes from the ceremony world a long time ago.
In time immemorial.
Exactly. And I always felt like I hope my prayer to the people here is that everybody reads that book.
Yeah. I agree with you about this book. It's Dave has been talking to me about this book, and I can't wait to continue to read that book.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And he saved longhouse design plans and fishing and this is your ancestor.
Yeah.
You talked about surgery too.
Surgery.
Yeah. Wow.
Trepanning.
Wow.
Which is
yes.
releasing the brain, right? So
wow.
Just so many remarkable things that come out of it. Talked about sweat lodges.
How we're sitting here today, and that they were able to record and capture all of this into this book, you know, and then to be able to carry on some of these traditions.
It was also, it's a lot more than that. He was a primary source for several anthropologists who interviewed him over the years, several people that went seeking Indigenous knowledge here. he was used as primary source. People that have come through after he passed and have written things like academic papers, academic things, land use report. The land use and occupancy report that was done to deal with our genealogy and all these things, they cited him as their primary source. And they also said that it was one of the most authentic, true accounts in much of what they were seeking. So they actually relied upon it very heavily in order to create that report.
Wow.
As well as several others. So I think that, like, when our elders talk about it as being our Bible, our jewel, our, this thing, it's so much more than that. And that comes down through our family lineage.
Wow. I know my Uncle Willie had talked about, he mentored with Catalino.
Yeah.
And that's where that tradition is being continued, right? So we're keeping him.
Unbroken lines of
Really?
oral history.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
You met Willie.
I did?
Yes, he came to graduation.
Oh,
Willie?
really?
Yes, that Willie.
He mentored with...
Yes.
Holy shit. We should get him out on
So
here.
You really
see
need-
all those connections.
I'm learning so much through sitting with all these matriarchs. It's honestly amazing. Recommend it to everybody that's
Every
out there.
single interview brings lots of these aha moments.
Yes.
So when we talk about, like, it's, and I mean, people, like, our families want to talk
They do.
and they want to share. And even if they're a little apprehensive when they understand what's really being asked of them, they understand, like, it's important for their children. Because we filmed my mom as one of our first podcasts.
Oh, wow.
So we have her.
That's beautiful.
But she wanted to be on a podcast. So she said, Riel, I want to be on a podcast. So,
Oh, she's a feisty one too.
oh, yeah. Well,
I loved her.
When she asked for something, you just went and did it because it's
Yeah.
easier than arguing with her
Yeah.
about it. So,
And I drove her around to every chore that she had to do before we got here too.
Right? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Would you hang out with Granny, just see her around the community kind of thing?
Well, no, she was. She came up to Denise's place, who's my cousin, our cousin, and I sat there and chatted with her for a while. And then I would see her at community events. I think we were at a community event, and we sat down and chatted with you and your mom for a while. Where were we? Can't remember. It was
that outside?
No, it was inside. It was at the Chief Joe.
Is that Chief Joe?
Yeah, it was like maybe it was a general meeting or something that we were at and we were eating, or it could have been from a funeral we were at together.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, but oh yeah, she. My husband had a good chuckle with her a few times, right? So, Dave. He's pretty. He likes to joke around a lot, and
Do you
she
think
was
I
a
can bring him
terrible
on?
flirt. So
she was.
she was a terrible flirt.
Oh, she hitting on Dave?
Oh, she hit on everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
She hit on everybody.
Yeah, but she had a big heart.
Yeah. She
Yeah.
just loved men.
Yeah. I think it might have been at Lonnie's service. You were there and your mom was there. Yeah.
Would you like to be a guest on Our Storytellers? Because all you have to do to connect with us is just email info@ourstorytellers.ca and we will get back to you as soon as possible. That sounds like a voicemail, which I think is hilarious. But if you email us, we'll give you a call and we'll listen to your story and we'll probably film it. So please reach out to us if you're interested in being a guest, because we love to share stories from all walks of life, from all different experiences. We think that everybody's story is valuable and that you can learn from anybody's story. So please email us, and we'll schedule a call with you as soon as we can. That also sounds like a voicemail, but back to the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to dedicate the podcast to anybody?
Yeah. To all the survivors out there.
All the survivors out there. Is there anything that you want us to ask you about that we never did?
Yeah. How about my job?
Yeah, let's talk
what
about
I'm
it.
doing now.
What are you doing now?
So Orange Shirt Society, I am the chief operating officer. He was the board president, stepped off, and now I am fully engaged in the society. I have been since 2019, but I'm doing more of an active role, which has been filled my soul in the work I'm doing. Being out there in community, advocating, and talking with survivors and creating partnerships. One of the big projects we're doing, well, one of the many, is we're doing Every Child Matters crosswalks, and we have one going in at Tsleil-Waututh, September 17th. One that's going in. The other one is going in where St. Paul's Indian residential school was, which is now is St. Thomas Aquinas. 6 and Forbes, where the monument is. These crosswalks are a visual reminder for folks that we're still here. We're resilient. We're not going anywhere. And it's a conversation to ask questions and learn more about it. We're doing one on Main and Hastings. And that one to me is very near and dear to my heart, as we're have a high population of Indigenous folks from all over. It's right by the Carnegie Community Center. And then across the street was where, this is where my grandfather comes back in, is where the Indian Native Brotherhood office were. And having that crosswalk there for our Indigenous peoples that are down there, they're not down there by choice. They're down there because they didn't feel like they fit in, or they've had so much trauma that they resorted to drugs and alcohol to mask the pain. It's not because they want to do it. I drove by there for every day for many years, and I would see my family members down there. And I would wave and say hello, and just to let them know that I was there and I cared about them regardless. So it means a lot to me to have this crosswalk there, that if they feel alone, go to that crosswalk and know that your ancestors are with you and that you matter. Every child matters. And just to give them some piece of hope and peace that moment. So that one is the one I really, even ours, like to be here for our survivors. And my goal is to paint Canada orange, and where every residential school is to have a crosswalk. Not everybody feels the same way about having the crosswalks, and that's okay. But if it could give some kind of peace and keep our conversations going. The other one that we do, we have Survivor Voices speaker series. We have, as Phyllis is being asked to speak, like, we need like 3 of her, or 4 or 5, right? Because she's always been asked. She's booked till like 2020, right? And, or no, where are we?
2030?
2030, yes. I mixed up on my
thinking
days.
2020.
20. I was like, what? Wait a minute here. That was COVID times.
She's got
That's why I'm
lots of
lost. But yeah, so to 2030. But so we, as you mentioned earlier, people want to talk and tell their truths, right? I don't say story too much anymore because it's fiction. And truths this is a reality, what has happened to you. And that's why I speak my truths, you know. And so we have survivors that want to speak their truths, and it's helped them heal. And in so many ways, you know, where, as you mentioned earlier, that we become quiet and we shut down and we don't say much. But once we start talking about it and releasing that pain, you start to feel lighter because we're being held and suppressed for so long. So we have about 10 speakers, and we're looking for intergenerational speakers and 60 scoop speakers. We have that program, and that's been very successful. We have the Orange Jersey Project, which is huge. Like, it's connecting through sports. And we have a learning platform with the Orange Jersey Project where the teams would get together and learn about the Indian residential school. And it's through an online course, and the whole team does it together.
All those projects are amazing, and that project is so cool. Can I order a jersey?
Yeah, you probably could. Yeah. I do play a sport. Baseball?
I'll make it. Yes. Yes, whatever team. I would be rubbish at baseball, but
Yeah. Yeah.
what?
Better with a lacrosse stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely better with a lacrosse stick for sure. You know, for people that are listening at home and stuff like that, like you and I are neighbors, right behind each other, and I've noticed just by being in the kitchen, looking back there, you know, like I remember the Van City days where it was he was tireless, always on meetings, always getting stuff done, and you could see that you were game to do that. And now sometimes I think maybe you're working at the kitchen table, I don't know, but when I look back there, there's always a smile on your face, always working, same grind, always working.
Yeah.
But a nice big smile on your face, and it makes me happy to see that.
I love the work that I do, and I feel so grounded at the work I'm doing, and that how, if I was to leave this world, you know, what would my legacy be? And I want my legacy to know that I was very involved in culture and making a difference and passing on the traditions to my grandchildren. The work that I do with Phyllis and the team, I have an amazing team. And we're always on the go and always trying to make a difference and hold the, I won't say that. But anyways.
What's a good community travel story that you have from work?
Well, just recently we had a board and staff and ambassador retreat up in Williams Lake, and we went out on the land, and that was something very special. We went to Dog Creek, and being on the land and hearing the stories from the matriarchs of the family made. There's an old village, and they hid it away from Indian Affairs because they didn't want to be kicked out of this village. And it's way up in the mountain. Like, we had to go way up. Like, some of these roads, I was white knuckling it on the roads. Like, these are dirt roads, like going all the way up. And I was like, we're gonna make it, right? We're gonna make it. Anyways, but it was quite beautiful. But to hear the stories that related to the land, the ceremony we had on the land was very, very sacred. Wow. We were right by the water. We were drumming and singing, and we were all in a circle. It was just it was the most powerful moment I experienced, being there with all my team and all the folks that were there.
That's amazing. I can relate to that starting this. I feel like this thing has brought me to spots that I never knew I would ever get to see and hang out with people I never knew, and I can totally relate to that.
I saw something done at the ceremony that I've never saw before. And it was so special. I will hold that very sacred to my heart.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. That's an amazing story. That's an amazing story. I hope I get to go to Williams Lake one day.
You should come up.
I would
I
love to
will
come
take you around, but I don't know if I'll white knuckle it over to Dog Creek. I'll have somebody else drive you there.
I can drive.
Some of these roads, like, were oh my gosh. Like, yeah.
We used to go, Dad and I used to go hunting, and
Oh, then you're used to it.
we would go around, we would go around these roads, and
Stuck on the side of the cliff,
And
hugging the road.
I remember
That's what we were doing.
I remember one time the wheel was turning on the side of the road, and it was spitting rocks
in the air.
off the cliff into the
Yep.
side of the road. And I remember sitting in the back, and my dad and his friend are in front, and I just was like, I just like put myself forward because I didn't want all the weight anyway to go back down.
Oh my
But
gosh.
I just lurched myself forward,
yeah.
and Dad's like, relax. I'm like, the famous last words. One time we drove all the way up to the top of this mountain and got on a flat tire.
Shredded. Coming down the mountain
And
to
we
a
were
rim.
so, honestly, some of the things that some of the situations Dad put me in, honestly, is crazy. Like, we were in a Ford Explorer Escape.
It was it was a full blown Ford Explorer. Yeah, 8-seater.
Why are we hunting?
Oh.
Why are we hunting in a Ford Explorer? Somebody please tell me what that is. Then on top of that, there was no spare tools whatsoever.
And no spare tire.
And we got to, when I mean the top of this mountain in the back, it was the top of this mountain in the back. And so Dad's looking for the spare tire. I'm out shooting pellets at whatever leaf
Yeah.
was in the, whatever leaf was there. And then he comes up to me, he's like, I think I'm 12. He's like, I think we have to walk down. And I'm like, why? Like, why do we have to walk down? He's like, there are no spare tools in here. And I was like, do we have any food? He's like, we have 1 can of Pringles. And I was like looking at my dad. Like, I've never seen my dad. So my dad is like very loud, very always have everything in control. And he's like, for like one split second, like, I have no idea what to do. We actually jumped back in the truck, drove on its
on its flat tire.
yeah, drove on its rim the whole way down the mountain. Took us 6 hours to get down the mountain. By the time we got down, it was dark out. Mom had to come pick us up after we got the thing towed away. It was completely chewed up. There was nothing left of the tire. There's no tire left on it whatsoever.
Yeah, we had to have it towed after that, and then
Wow.
a brand new tire back.
And
And then we sold that not long after that, I think.
he was like,
it was a used vehicle.
he was like, I think we have to sleep in the truck. I was like, okay, like I was all game for it, but yeah, I love a good back road story. At least you didn't get a flat tire. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, we were warned to make sure that we had a spare tire, a good vehicle, and make sure you have the right tools, because it's happened to us before.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
To one of my staff, it did, right? So.
Is there anything else you want us to ask about?
No, just thank you for having me and being open to discussion. And I wish you all the best for this podcast. I think it's a great idea to really hear our voices and heal out loud. Each time I talk and tell my truths, I'll feel a little sad for a while, but I will feel grounded, because it's never easy to talk about your experiences, your traumas, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel that like I said, the work I'm doing makes me feel happy and grounded, and thank you for sharing that. that your observation.
This is your podcast studio. Anytime you want to use it, you can use it whenever you'd like, with me or without me. So, thank you for coming on, telling your truths, and if you ever need anything, just let me know. And if Dave needs anything, maybe you should ask me. Yeah. There you go.
Thank you.